to fingerprint you.
Eğer mecbursan.
I still need to ask you some questions about last night.
At your service, dear young lady. But I know nothing.
Did you see anyone leave the train last night?
No, but as I have told you, we were busy with the boiler. The pressure must be kept up for the lights and heat.
Did you see anyone get on the train?
In Belgrade, there was a single passenger only for the Athens-Paris coach. No one at the other stops that I saw.
Can you describe this passenger?
He was small, dark. A doctor, I think Michel said.
No one else?
Well, Matteo, of course, the Athens-Paris attendant. Not to speak ill of the crew, but he was very late getting aboard. We left the station only moments later.
I would like to fingerprint you.
Anything you require. However, if you're planning to smear that typewriting ribbon on my fingers, it is unnecessary. My fingers are black from coal dust already.
That will be all, Tayyip. Monsieur Poirot.
His menu seems to overemphasize meat species. The buffet and seafood plants seem even more fundamental than usual today. Worse than avalanches and murder. The antipoda. Why does it not surprise me? What do you know of Charles' movement last night?
And that is everything I have discovered so far.
We progress, mademoiselle. Now, let us see what we can learn.
The timetable is very complete now.
Oh, yes, it is essential to the understanding of the crime. Study it carefully.
We have many alibis we can use to eliminate suspects.
Yes, too many. Compare them all. Look for discrepancies. We must be certain that they do not leak the water.
I believe I have collected all the passports.
Très bien, mademoiselle. You have done well.
I think I have secured all the fingerprints.
Très bien, mademoiselle. You have done well.
Madame Hubbard heard a woman in Monsieur Ratchet's room.
Wait, and about the time you heard the noise and saw the woman in the scarlet kimono. So, does a woman speak to Monsieur Ratchet, murder him, drop a handkerchief with the letter H, then scurry off down the corridor in a scarlet kimono? Or does Madame Hubbard hallucinate a woman's voice as well as the man in her room?
The valet masterman says Ratchet took less than his normal sleeping draft.
So, instead of a comatose Ratchet who would not struggle when the knife began its work, we have a Ratchet who might cry out.
But after the cry, I heard Ratchet tell Michel that there was nothing wrong. Monsieur McQueen saw the woman in the scarlet kimono.
But not enough to identify her. And he says he saw Michel coming from the direction of the salon car, or at least someone in an attendant's uniform.
Colonel Arbuthnot saw the attendant and thinks he caught the scent of a woman.
Ah, the scent of a woman. You have found a romantic streak I would not have suspected one so stolid to possess.
Hildegard Schmidt saw an attendant leaving a compartment.
Oui, one of the middle rooms. Either Ratchet's or Madame Hubbard's. And his description? No, it is not Pierre Michel, this small dark man with a moustache who speaks in the high voice.
No, but he matches the description Ratchet gave Hartman of his enemy. Both Madame Hubbard and Mademoiselle Olsen confirm the connecting door was locked.
An attendant's pass key opens even connecting doors, I think, so I am not so baffled by that locked door.
Colonel Arbuthnot saw Monsieur Hardman watching the corridor from his room.
Monsieur Hardman's door opens to the right, so unfortunately he could see little of the corridor, but he would have seen if anyone entered the Calais coach from the Athens-Paris coach.
The steak knife I found by the cliff was clean, no blood or fingerprints.
It is a nuisance, that knife. On the face of it, it is of no importance. And yet, someone has taken the trouble to try and fling it over a cliff.
Hardman's actions were very suspicious.
And the key he discovers in Michel's clothing that opens the door to the security room in the baggage car is suspicious as well.
McQueen is the son of the district attorney involved in the Armstrong case.
Pardon, district attorney? What is that?
Some sort of police official, I believe. Princess Dragomirov was Sonia Armstrong's godmother.
Oui, it is coincidence, or something more. Merci, mademoiselle. Unfortunately, the report it is not yet complete. We are now armed with much more additional knowledge than before. Continue the investigation, and do not be afraid to go over the ground you have already covered. Quite interesting.
There's a visible fingerprint here. I need something to lift the fingerprint. I don't think that's appropriate. I obtained a clear print and have filed it. Well, would you look at that?
Excellent, like the hand in the glove. That is most pleasing. Wait, that is how Poirot would have done it. Poirot could see at once that these are the shoes of a man much too small to have made the footprint. Not a precise match, I am afraid. Quite interesting.
It has a fingerprint on it. I obtained a clear print and have filed it.
Quite interesting.
A fingerprint. I obtained a clear print and have filed it.
Poirot could see at once that these are the shoes of a man much too small to have made the footprint. Not a precise match, I am afraid. Poirot could see at once that these are the shoes of a man much too small to have made the footprint. Poirot could see at once that these are the shoes of a man much too small to have made the footprint. Poirot could see at once that these are the shoes of a man much too small to have made the footprint. Poirot could see at once that these are the shoes of a man much too small to... Poirot could see at once that these are the shoes... Poirot could see at once that these are... could see at once that these are the shoes of a... Poirot could see at once. To the trained eye, these would appear to be a match most precise. I am sorry, mademoiselle, but I do not believe using that object will help.
It has a fingerprint on it. I obtained a clear print and have filed it. A fingerprint. I obtained a clear print and have filed it.
Quite interesting.
It has a fingerprint on it. I obtained a clear print and have filed it. The key fit perfectly. Well, what do we have here? Oh my, just what is all this for? It's a makeshift bed, but who could possibly be using it? It looks like someone had a meal here recently. Crime et punition, Géographie Européenne, Introduction à la Science. Interesting selection.
Quite interesting.
It has a fingerprint on it. I obtained a clear print and have filed it.
Quite interesting.
A fingerprint. I obtained a clear print and have filed it. I'd better put the lid back on for appearances. I think I heard a click. It's open. I'll put this into my scrapbook so I can take a closer look at it later.
Formidable.
I obtained a clear print and have filed it.
Wait, that is how Poirot would have done it.
I obtained a clear print and have filed it.
Wait, that is how Poirot would have done it.
I obtained a clear print and have filed it.
Wait, that is how Poirot would have done it.
I obtained a clear print and have filed it. The prints match. The prints match. The prints match. These prints don't match. The prints match. The prints match. The prints match. The prints match. These prints don't match. The prints match. The prints match.
Ah, your return. Is there more to report to me, mademoiselle?
His menu seems to overemphasize meat features. The butcher, Kристи, tries to make even more continental than usual today. Worse than avalanches and murder, beyond the photographer. What you know of classic movements last night?
And that is everything I have discovered so far.
We progress, mademoiselle. Now, let us see what we can learn.
I believe I have compared the footprint cast to all the men's shoes.
Très bien, mademoiselle. Oh, you have done well.
The footprints in the snow belong to Foscarelli.
And his fingerprints are found upon the windowsill of Monsieur Ratchet's room. Yet he does not smoke a pipe. Nor, I think, does the cambric handkerchief with the letter H belong to him.
The stiletto I found in the hut must be the murder weapon.
That would seem to be the obvious conclusion. No, it is the weapon of the underworld assassin, to be sure. And with fingerprints which match no one's aboard this train.
We have not one, but two additional attendants' uniforms.
2 uniforms, 2 knives, possibly 2 murderers, one right-handed and one left. Can they have had the same plan, to sneak about disguised as attendants in order to murder Monsieur Ratchet in his sleep? What a moment that must have been as they encounter one another over the body. It is like a scene from a Marx Brothers movie, that.
Someone was hiding in Ratchet's crate.
A valuable statue is stolen. And then the thief decides to do what? What, masquerade as the statue? To escape detection?
The missing statue is another motive for murder.
Why not? We have the possible revenge from the Armstrong kidnapping, a possible assassin from Ratchet's underworld past. So why not a thief who kills Ratchet to cover up his crime? If we find 9 more motives for the murder and 10 more knives, we at least will have explained all those stab wounds.
The books in Ratchet's crate were all references of use to the murderer.
Explain, mademoiselle.
Géographie Européenne would be helpful in following the route of the train and choosing the best spot for murder. Introduction à la Science could give information about sleeping drafts.
And Crime and Punition by Dostoevsky? Was the guilty conscience of the killer haunting him as it did the unfortunate Raskolnikov?
Mateo's fingerprints are on the padlock from the door of the hut.
That padlock interests me.
Why would Mateo have a key to a shepherd's hut in the middle of the mountains near the spot where he would have no idea the train would be stopped by an avalanche? Monsieur Poirot, you don't think the avalanche was caused deliberately?
No, mademoiselle, I do not. There are enough fantastic elements to this crime already, without introducing the saboteurs.
But then how could his fingerprints come to be on that hut?
They were not on the hut, but on the padlock. Further investigation appears necessary on this point.
The padlock was taken when Mateo's ham radio equipment was sabotaged.
Someone has gone to great trouble, it seems, to direct suspicion upon this young man. Yet how can he have reached the Calais coach unobserved?
I have all the pieces. All that remains is for me to assemble them properly.
Très bien, mademoiselle. You have done well. And so we advance in our investigations. It is obvious that our fellow passengers have not been entirely forthright. You have still not had the opportunity to search all of the compartments, and there are other mysteries still to be explained.
Those whistles mean a train with a snowplow has arrived from Broad. We should be on our way again in a very few hours. Can you see any clear path to the solution of the mystery, Monsieur Poirot?
There is a path, certainement. How clear it is as yet I cannot say. And you? Have you no theories?
So many clues, so many theories.
You have hammered the nail on its head, mademoiselle. There are far too many clues, too many theories. Please, to recommence the investigation tout de suite.
Put me down! You will never get away with this!
Princess Dragomirov's parasol.
It is far out of your reach, mademoiselle. The most generous of kidnappers. Are all your belongings restored to you? The snow. It is much too deep to cross without the snowshoes.
The Athens-Paris coach. All looks to be in order from out here. Monsieur Poirot.
It appears to me in spite of everything that the murder may not have to do with the outside case at all. We have much evidence pointing to the existence of an outsider aboard the train. One who disguises himself, uses stilettos to kill, then vanishes into the snow. What do you think? Or he could be out there in a frozen snowdrift or lying broken at the bottom of a rocky ravine. The body may never be found until the spring thaw. I enjoy the investigation, monsieur. I certainly do not enjoy the fact that the man has been killed.
And that is everything I have discovered so far.
We progress, mademoiselle. Let us see what we can learn.
Can we use the ham radio to help the investigation?
Oh, but certainement. This is a marvelous stroke of luck. Too often the coincidences, they help the criminal. What a refreshing change to have one that will aid Poirot. I have no friend, Monsieur Louis. His son Barnabas is a boy of much energy and interests. One of these is the radio of Ham. as his proud father reports in a recent correspondence. Young Barnaby can be our eyes and ears in the outside world. His letters to call are there in my valise in the letter from his father. Use the radio of Ham to find out more from him about our current predicament. Oh, he is an invaluable asset, mademoiselle. Do not forget to secure his letters, or you will not have the information needed to reach young Barnaby.
This book of Masterman's reveals more than he knows.
Love's Captive by the inestimable Mrs. Arabella Richardson, yes. And what does it reveal to you?
Beneath that very proper exterior, Masterman is a hopeless romantic.
Perhaps. But I fear that this revelation would only be of embarrassment to Monsieur Masterman. It does not advance our investigation.
This driving license indicates Foscarelli has been a chauffeur.
A not unnatural profession for a man who loves the motor cars.
Hildegard Schmidt's recipe box is suggestive.
You remember at dinner how she was most opinionated with the waiter while studying the menu? And the label on the box, it is interesting as well. My lady's recipes. Now that suggests that she is accustomed to cooking for her employers. Not a duty one attaches to the lady's maid, n'est-ce pas?
Mary Debenham's handkerchief does not match the one found next door.
No. Despite the middle name of Hermione beginning with an H, I did not think that the expensive handkerchief would belong to her. No. The handkerchief of Mademoiselle Debenham is precisely the type one might expect to find in the luggage of a young Englishwoman of her class.
The postcard I found in Greta Olsen's suitcase tells a story.
This card, it speaks to Poirot in many ways. Coney Island is, I think, on the Long Island of New York in America. A country she claims not to have visited. Mademoiselle Olsen does not send the postcard to Sweden as she perhaps intended, but saves it as a keepsake for herself. It is not a happy memory, this. A last brief moment in the sun for a family soon to be swept away by the storm. Merci, mademoiselle. Unfortunately, the report, it is not yet complete. We are now armed with much more additional knowledge than before. Continue the investigation and do not be afraid to go over the ground you have already covered.
The letter. Now I'd better put Monsieur Poirot's clothes back exactly as I found them. I bent the blade of the butter knife back on itself. Those don't work together. A makeshift telegraph key. I constantly amaze myself. I suppose that will do as a telegraph key. I don't think that's appropriate. The copper bracelet is now straight with a hooked end. With any luck, that will power the radio, at least for a short time. There. The radio is ready to be used.
Superb, mademoiselle. You do not need to learn the Morse code if you have the book as reference.
That will save the cell from draining while I'm not using it. There's no power. There's no power. There's no power. There, the radio is ready to be used. That will save the cell from draining while I'm not using it. There, the radio is ready to be used. That will save the cell from draining while I'm not using it.
Well, had a good rummage through my kit, I expect?
Yes, thank you. There is still some information I think you might be able to give us.
Indeed? I hardly think so.
Is that pipe cleaner one of yours?
Don't know. I don't have them monogrammed.
Can you tell me how the pipe cleaner came to be in Monsieur Ratchet's compartment?
Haven't a clue.
Did you go into Monsieur Ratchet's compartment at any time?
I've never even spoken to the man.
You never spoke to him, and you did not murder him.
If I had, I should hardly be likely to acquaint you with the fact.
Ah, well, it is of no consequence.
Oh?
Monsieur Poirot has told me he can think of 11 excellent explanations of its presence. Not now, when it's all over, when it's behind us.
Is that a quote?
Mademoiselle Debenham said those words to you at Sakeki Station in Istanbul. Tell me to what those words referred.
Why don't you ask Miss Debenham?
I will.
You have nothing whatever against her.
I'm sorry, but you're wrong. We know that Mademoiselle Debenham was governess in the Armstrong household at the time Daisy Armstrong was kidnapped.
The devil, you say?
If Mademoiselle Debenham is innocent, why did she conceal the fact?
I have no idea, but your suspicions are utter rot.
Why did Mademoiselle Debenham tell me she had never been to America?
You better ask her. I still think you are wrong. You're making a serious mistake.
I think it is you, Colonel, who have made the mistake.
Hello again.
Monsieur McQueen,
I love how you say my name.
will you be serious?
I am serious. Sorry. I better be careful. I've realized I'm definitely the most suspicious character on the train. All you have to do is find a will in which the old man left me all his money, and that'll just about clinch it.
Is there a will?
Not that I know of. He'd never leave me a cent, really. I was just useful to him. Languages and so on. I'm no linguist, but I can get by in German and Italian and French.
You told me you knew Sonia Armstrong.
Yes, I did. My dad was the district attorney on the case. So yes, well, I was just a kid, of course, a teenager. Schoolboy crush, I suppose, and all that.
It occurs to me that in spite of everything, the murder may not have to do with the Armstrong case at all.
Oh? I thought that must be pretty settled.
We have much evidence pointing to the existence of an outsider aboard the train. One who disguises himself, uses a stiletto to kill, then vanishes into the snow. What do you think?
It's certainly a possibility, but in that case, he'll be hard to catch now. He's had quite a head start.
Or he could be out there frozen in a snowdrift or lying broken at the bottom of a rocky ravine. The body may never be found until the spring thaw.
Well, that conjures up an unpleasantly graphic image. You seem to really enjoy this stuff.
I enjoy the investigation, monsieur. I certainly do not enjoy the fact that a man has died.
No, of course not. Say, I was just wondering. I mean, I have no plans to return to the States right away. I may find myself back in Istanbul. I was wondering if you might consider having dinner with me some night.
I might consider it.
Relax? I can't say I'm unhappy Ratchet's dead for two reasons. He deserved it, and I met you.
Signore Foscarelli, I'm here for the truth.
I think that everyone has underestimated this Signore Poirot, and you too, Signorina. You too.
I found a chauffeur's license in your suitcase.
Yes, but it is a fact I have loved motor cars my whole life. Selling them, though, is much finer than driving other people's cars.
The license is issued by the state of New York. You said you lived in Chicago. Chicago is not in that state, is it?
No. Chicago is in the state of Illinois.
It will be a point in your favor if you tell me the truth.
You talk like the American police. Come clean. That is what they say. Come clean.
You were arrested by the American police. Was that in New York?
Arrested? No, never. They could not prove anything against me.
Don't you think you should come clean, monsieur?
It is true. I have not been frank with you. The word frank, it is odd, no? It is a man's name, but I think it is correct here. I am not frank. Sometimes, you know, a motor car may not be perfect, but you must make a sale. So you are not frank.
You were the Armstrong chauffeur, were you not?
Since you know, why ask me?
Why did you lie to me?
Lie? Lie? I did not lie. I was not frank.
Why?
I do not trust the Yugoslavian police. They do not like Italians. They would not have given me justice.
Tell me about Daisy Armstrong.
That little one. She was the delight of the house. Tonio, she called me. They all did. She would sit in the car and pretend to hold the wheel. Such a beautiful little one.
Have you been frank about your movements last night?
I had nothing to do with that business. It was not I who killed that pig Ratchet. You cannot prove anything against me.
That will do for now, Monsieur Foscarelli.
I understand we'll be underway soon.
Yes, the snow is being cleared now. I'm sorry you'll miss your boat to America.
Under the circumstances, I've decided to stop in Paris for a few days, play with my grandchildren, and recuperate from this trip.
Have you thought of anything else that might be helpful to our investigation?
Well, you certainly have everyone in an uproar. Maybe next time you'll be able to be more discreet. Oh, I forgot. You probably won't be doing any more investigating after this, will you?
That's all.
That wasn't helpful? I thought it was.
Thank you, Madame Hubbard. Monsieur Hardman?
I owe you an apology, Miss Marceau.
You do?
I wasn't very polite when we first met outside the station. And I came on kind of strong when you caught me going through Michelle's things. There's no excuse for it. Fact is, I've always liked French girls. And that's not a line, just the way it is. That makes my behavior even worse somehow, I think. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Monsieur Hardman. I accept your apology.
Thanks. So exactly what's up on this train? Seems bughouse to me.
To me, too, sometimes.
Fire away if you want to grill me some more.
Have you done any more investigating of your own?
Nope, after you caught me, I figured it wasn't worth it. Snooping around might make me look guilty. I've been sitting tight.
It seems obvious the murder is tied to the Armstrong kidnapping.
How did you and Poirot get wise to that? That's what I'd like to know.
We guessed.
Okay, I'll pretend I believe that.
You were not the gardener at the Armstrong house, were you?
They didn't have a garden. I'm beginning to believe I'm about the only one on this train who had no connection to that case.
Have you any ideas of your own about the crime?
I admit it's got me beat.
I don't think she's in the mood for conversation. Dr. Constantine?
I thought you had forgotten about me. Do you have further need of my expert advice?
I'd like to talk to you about that, yes.
Good.
Could you give me an account of your movements last night?
My movements? Surely, I am not a suspect. But it is absurd. I joined the train at Belgrade. I am the sole paying passenger of the Athens-Paris coach. Surrounded by the working staff. The doors are locked between my coach and the coach to Calais. So, I could not have committed the murder.
What is the name of the conference you are addressing in London?
Why, it is the International Society of Gastrointestinal Physicians.
Why would such a group be interested in a speech about a disease found in newborn calves?
Why, there are many similarities between... what I mean is anatomy. Constantine, what have you done?
You lied to us about your qualifications, Doctor. You are a veterinarian, yes?
Yes, a very good veterinarian.
Monsieur Poirot and I relied on your qualified opinions.
Mademoiselle Marceau.
All the inconsistencies, the time of death, the difference in the force of the stab wounds. The murderer is strong, but no, look here, the murderer is weak. He is right-handed. No, he is left-handed.
Have you considered he may have held a knife in each hand?
Doctor, enough. All of it can be explained away with the simple fact that you did not know what you were doing.
Mademoiselle, all of my training was to become a medical doctor, to treat human disease and to save human lives. Then, I come from a poor family. I had not the money to finish my studies. The best I could accomplish was doctor of animals. When Monsieur Poirot was told there was doctor on the train, I saw an opportunity to prove myself. Not to you, you understand. To me.
But your evidence...
I swear to you, every observation I made, every conclusion I reached will be verified by any doctor who examines the body. Further, by my acting while the murder was as yet not too long in the past, I may very well have seen more than any doctor coming to the case days or even hours later. I did lie about my degree. I did not lie about my ability. You may rely on everything I have told to you. Yes, even with all the inconsistencies, you have the correct medical evidence before you. I stand by my observations and conclusions.
Monsieur Masterman, you were once in military service.
Yes, miss, but I can't think how you could know.
Love's Captive by Mrs. Arabella Richardson.
Ah, yes. One of the privileges a soldier retains after he's mustered out. Access to the Royal Military Library. It's quite well stocked. Not all strategy and tactics and memoirs, as you've discovered.
What was your regiment?
Miss Marceau, I'm going to tell you the truth. My service is, of course, a matter of record. I don't wish to hide it. I'm quite proud of it, as a matter of fact. But it's easily researched, and the connections will be found.
Connections?
I'm sure you must already suspect. Yes, I knew Colonel Armstrong. I was his Batman in the war, and afterwards his valet in New York. I'm afraid I concealed that fact when you questioned me earlier. It was very wrong of me, miss. I feel better now that I've made a clean breast of it.
Would you like to change your story about last night?
Why, no. It is as I told you.
Do you have anything more to tell me of the Italian gentleman?
No, miss, and I hope you're not suspecting Tonio in any way. Tonio wouldn't hurt a fly, and I can state positively that he never left our compartment all last night. Tonio may be a foreigner, miss, but he's a very gentle creature. Really, not like those nasty, murdering mafiosi one reads about.
You seem to know Tonio better than you led me to believe.
Well, yes, we work together. He hasn't told you yet. I thought he had. That's why I... Oh, dear. I think I have nothing more to say.
That will be enough. Pardon me, Count. I still have one or two matters I would like to discuss.
Then please, do so.
Did you notice the grease spot on your passport? See it just at the beginning of your wife's first name?
These things happen when traveling.
Have you remembered anything about last night that might help us?
Nothing.
Good day, Monsieur le Comte. Countess, I'm sorry to bother you again, but I wonder if I might have another word with you.
Certainly.
Do you remember when I showed you this handkerchief? Handmade, embroidered in Paris, and of course, the letter H. 3 ladies aboard have the letter H in their names. But Madame Hubbard considers such a handkerchief useless. Mademoiselle Debenham's middle name is Hermione, but her handkerchiefs are dainty linen, not expensive. Hildegard Schmidt is a lady's maid, not a lady.
Why are you telling me this?
It leaves only you and Princess Dragomirov, but her first name is Natalia.
It isn't my handkerchief.
There is a wet luggage label on your suitcase.
Oh?
Pulling it back, I found the initials HMK.
Well, that is fascinating, isn't it?
You told me you have never been to America.
I've never been to America.
When you say you've never been to America, you say it with an American accent.
These questions are pointless.
These are observations, Monsieur Lecomte, not questions.
You take too much upon yourself, mademoiselle. You are not a detective. You are a clerk in a train office, and your employer will hear her a representative of this railway, treated a diplomat and his wife.
Why was the grease spot added to your passport and the label to your case?
My wife has told you the handkerchief is not hers. There are no H's in her name. Let that be an end to it.
Your name is Helena, isn't it? Not Elena. You are Helena Maria Gilbert, are you not? Sonia Armstrong's sister, Linda Arden's daughter.
I demand, mademoiselle, to know what right you...
No, Rudolph. It is useless to deny what Mademoiselle Marceau says. It is quite true, mademoiselle. I am Helena Gilbert, the youngest sister of Sonia Armstrong.
Why did you hide your true identity?
Surely you can guess the reason. This man who called himself Ratchet murdered my baby niece, killed my sister, and broke my brother-in-law's heart. 3 of the people I loved best and who made up my home, my world. Of all the people on this train, I alone had the strongest motive for killing him.
I give you my word of honor. Helena never left her compartment last night.
Then the handkerchief is yours.
No, it is not. I know I can't hope to make you believe me, but I assure you that is the truth.
When we learned who the man was, and that the handkerchief had been found with the letter H near his body, I pointed out to Helena it would be better to remove any connection to her. A luggage label, a grease spot to cover the alteration. What could be simpler?
I have read quite a bit about crime, Monsieur Lecomte. I hope you will take it as a compliment if I say you have the makings of a very fine criminal.
I think I will not take that as a compliment, no.
Madame la Comtesse, the motive for the murder lies in the past, in the tragedy that broke up your home. Help me. Take me back into the past. Tell me about your sister's household.
What can I tell you? They're all dead! All dead! All dead! Sonia! Robert! Darling, darling Daisy! That curly hair, impossible to comb. That sweet, sweet smile.
Tell me about the nursery maid who committed suicide.
Suzanne. If she was involved, I'm sure it was innocently. Chatting idly with someone, giving the times of Daisy's outings.
What was Suzanne's nationality?
She was French.
What was Suzanne's last name?
I was only a child myself at the time. All we called her was Suzanne.
Was there a nurse?
Yes, a trained hospital nurse. New Daughter was her name.
Did you have a tutor or governess, perhaps?
Yes, she was a dragon. English. Rather Scots. A big red-haired woman.
What was her name?
Miss Freebody, if you can believe it.
How old was she?
She seemed frightfully old to me at the time, but I suppose she couldn't have been more than 40.
I know you were only a child at the time, and that the passage of years changes a person, but have you seen anyone on this train who reminds you of any of those people?
No, mademoiselle.
I have returned to you, Your Highness.
I thought you might.
I'm having some difficulty locating the owner of this handkerchief.
I am sorry to hear that. If you had asked me, I could have told you it is mine.
Yours? But, Your Highness, your first name is Natalia.
I'm perfectly aware of my first name, mademoiselle. My handkerchiefs are always embroidered with Russian characters. In the Cyrillic alphabet, H is written as N.
How did your handkerchief come to be lying by the murdered man's body?
I have no idea.
Your maid said she did not recognize this handkerchief.
Schmidt believes in loyalty as I do. I believe in loyalty to one's friends and one's family and one's class.
Thank you for your time, Princess. I have a few more questions, Frau Schmidt, if I may.
Yeah, of course.
How long have you been with Madame la Princess?
10 years.
15 years, Schmidt.
Yeah, that is right. 15, mademoiselle. I am sorry. This murder, this waiting, it distracts me.
I understand you are an excellent cook.
Yeah, indeed. All of my ladies have said so. Your Excellency.
Calm yourself, Schmidt. You don't know what you are saying.
That is true. I do not know what I am saying.
Au revoir, mademoiselle.
Dear young miss, I would like to say that despite all the calamity, I have enjoyed sharing my compartment.
Thank you, Greta. But I'm afraid I must ask you some more questions.
Yeah, I am thinking you must. Our gracious Father, who art in heaven, guides your hand, I think. So, I am content.
I found a postcard in your suitcase.
My one keepsake from that time. It is a silly thing, but I hold it dear.
Coney Island is in America.
Yeah, of course. It is on the Long Island of New York in the country of America. I lied to you when I said I had never been there. May God forgive me.
On the back of the postcard, you write that Helena rode on the roller coaster.
Helena Gilbert, Mrs. Armstrong's young sister, only 10 years of age, but so brave. I am not so brave. It is true. It is true. She was an angel, a sweet, trusting angel. She knew nothing but kindness and love. And she was took away by that wicked, wicked man. And her poor mother and the other little one who never lived at all. I was to be that little child's nurse too. I ought to have told you, but I was afraid. I did so rejoice that that evil man was dead, that he could not anymore kill the little children.
Excuse me, please, mademoiselle. I will be happy to talk to you in a little while.
Thanks to our master chef's perseverance, the Wiener Schnitzel and Erdäpfel salad will be served as promised.
Nothing else to see in there.
The notorious scarlet kimono in your bag, mademoiselle.
Well, of all the nerve.
your return. So is there more to report to me, mademoiselle?
It occurs to me in spite of everything that the murder may not have to do with the Armstrong case at all. We have much evidence pointing to the existence of an outsider aboard the plane. One who disguises himself, uses stilettos to kill, then vanishes into the snow. What do you think? Or he could be out there in a frozen snow dress or lying broken at the bottom of a rocky ravine. The body may never be found until the spring thaw. I enjoy the investigation, monsieur. I certainly do not enjoy the fact that a man has been killed.
And that is everything I have discovered so far.
We progress, mademoiselle. Let us see what we can learn.
Countess Adrenyi's maiden name is Gilbert.
Not a very Hungarian name, that.
Her accent is more American than Hungarian. The scarlet kimono turns up in my luggage. I swear to you it does not belong to me.
Oh, mademoiselle, I have no doubt of that. You have vigorously pursued its owner's identity. No. It is a defiance, you understand? It is a gauntlet thrown down. Very well. We take it up.
Countess Andrenyi is Helena Gilbert, Sonia Armstrong's sister.
Ah, oui. It is easy to see why her devoted husband would try to hide that fact. Her account of the Armstrong household is of the greatest interest. Please to go over the points of her testimony that struck you.
The handkerchief with the H belongs to the princess.
I confess I should have remembered that in the Cyrillic alphabet, Arch is written as N. And she has a strong motive to want Ratchet dead. But are we meant to believe that this elderly woman prances about in the scarlet silk kimono? Or could strike with such ferocity?
Schmidt is accustomed to cooking for her employers, as we suspected.
And her mistake in how long she has been in the employ of the princess is remarkable. A difference 1/3 less than her mistress claims. 10 years. We must look deeper into this. What course do you suggest?
I will radio to Barnaby.
A wise decision, I think.
Boscarelli was the Armstrong chauffeur.
It was a deduction most simple.
Masterman was Colonel Armstrong's valet.
And his Batman during the war.
Greta Olsen was Daisy Armstrong's nurse.
This may explain the zeal with which she cares for her young charges at her mission, and why she never had any children of her own.
Barnaby confirms Colonel Arbuthnot served with Colonel Armstrong.
We, the Royal Northumberland Fusiliers, a regiment most distinguished.
Dr. Constantine is a veterinarian.
The only man on the train who answers the description of Ratchet's unknown enemy, and that is his only secret? Bah!
Pierre Michel has no family.
Never married, parents dead, his sister, her husband, and a niece dead in the car crash? Oh, this is enough to explain the sadness that haunts him, and yet he carries the happy family photograph with him, a wife and a child.
Cyrus Hardman has worked for McNeil's for almost 15 years.
I wonder.
The father of Linda Arden's children was named Gilbert.
No marriage, just children. The smart set is often not so smart, I think.
The nursemaid Suzanne, who threw herself to her death, was French.
Oui. To know her full name might be instructive.
The Armstrong nurse was named New Daughter.
An odd name, that. What nationality do you think?
Slavic or Scandinavian?
Well, perhaps. I think that the Countess has the most fanciful mind and is quite adept at the word games. She is playing them now. Noi Dottor sounds, I think, only by coincidence, vaguely Scandinavian. Olsen is, of course, authentic Scandinavian.
New Daughter. New Daughter. Olsen. Old son.
It is not yet fact, but it is worth pursuing.
Helena Gilbert's governess was an old hag named Freebody.
What an unfortunate name for an old hag is Freebody. It is more apt a name for the generation of flippers.
Flappers. The fast young women were called flappers in America. Thank goodness skirts are finally lengthening again.
As you say. I wonder if during your time at university in England you had occasion to patronize the clothing shops for the fashionable woman in London.
No, Monsieur Poirot, not on a student's budget.
There is such a shop near my own tailor called Debenham and Freebody, and the description the Countess gives to you is as far from the attractive young woman Mary Debenham as one could hope to get.
The Countess recognized no one on the train.
Including Madame la Princesse, her sister's godmother. Monsieur McQueen she may also have seen, but he has grown much, of course, and the appearance changes. But a woman of the advanced years of the princess does not change so much, I think. No, I find this lack of recognition the most damning point against the Countess in all of her evasions and lies. So you see now why the Countess's failure to recognize anyone grows beyond suspicious.
Perhaps she is nearsighted. If she were the second murderer in Ratchet's room last night, that might explain why she didn't notice he was already dead.
You know, at times you remind me so of my good friend Hastings. Merci, mademoiselle. Unfortunately, the report, it is not yet complete. We are now armed with much more additional knowledge than before. Continue the investigation and do not be afraid to go over the ground you have already covered.
Mademoiselle Debenham, I must ask you why you lied to me earlier.
Lied to you? I don't know what you mean.
You told me you had never been in America.
What makes you think I have?
Information received, as the English police say. You concealed the fact that you lived in the Armstrong household.
And what, may I ask, was I supposed to have been doing there?
You were governess to Helena Gilbert, Mrs. Armstrong's young sister, and you would have no doubt been governess to little Daisy when she was old enough.
You appear to have found me out.
And the reason for these evasions?
I have my living to get. You must know how hard it is for a girl to get and keep decent employment. I had been detained and questioned in connection with a murder case. Do you think that any nice, ordinary, middle-class Englishwoman would want to engage a girl with those references as governess to her daughters?
Even if no blame attached to you, there would be the publicity.
Yes, we have it hard enough getting on, don't we? Without all of that additional baggage.
I understand very well.
I thought you would know what it is like.
I am the hardest working employee in the office, yet I remain at the lowest wages. And I've worried more than once how my employer, Monsieur Booth, will react when he learns of the avalanche, Monsieur Poirot's accident, the murder. I'm not to blame, but
somehow you will be blamed. It's not fair. It's just the way things are.
You could have helped the investigation.
How?
Is it possible, Mademoiselle Debenham?
Call me Mary, please.
Mary, is it possible you did not recognize Countess Andrenyi?
Recognize her? From the society pages, you mean?
She is Helena Gilbert, the young sister whom you taught in New York.
Helena. It is true she reminded me of someone. It puzzled me. But she looks so different now, so elegant. How could I connect her with a little American schoolgirl? I admit I looked more closely at her clothes than her face, and I had my own preoccupations.
Not now, when it's all over, when it's behind us.
Antoinette, those words refer to a private matter of my own. I can't tell you. I can't.
Good day to you, mademoiselle. There, the radio is ready to be used. will save the cell from draining while I'm not using it. There, the radio is ready to be used. That will save the cell from draining while I'm not using it.
Ah, your return. So is there more to report to me, mademoiselle?
It occurs to me in spite of everything that the murder may not have to do with the Armstrong case at all. We have much evidence pointing to the existence of an outsider aboard the train. One who disguises himself, uses stilettos to kill, then vanishes into the snow. What do you think? Or he could be out there in a frozen snow drift or lying broken at the bottom of a rocky ravine. The body may never...
And that is everything I have discovered so far.
We progress, mademoiselle. Let us see what we can learn.
Barnaby has discovered that the last name of the Armstrong cook was Schmidt.
All of her ladies have said that she was a wonderful cook.
The nursemaid's full name was Suzanne Ferrier.
French. Yet no apparent connection to any of the others involved in that case. Ah, well, not every clue will lead somewhere.
I have all the pieces. All that remains is for me to assemble them properly.
Très bien, mademoiselle. You have done well. Mademoiselle Marceau, you will recall my observation to you of the many classes and nationalities one meets when traveling.
Yes, of course.
Try to imagine whether such an assembly would ever likely to be collected under any other conditions.
On an ocean voyage?
The close quarters, the intimacy. No, even aboard a ship at sea one can avoid one's fellow passengers the entire voyage, if that is the wish.
In America?
Oui, the great melting pan of America.
Melting pot.
This is the answer I made to myself as well. Only in America you might find a household composed of such varied nationalities. And what do we discover here? Such a household has recreated itself aboard this train. A household damaged almost beyond recovery 10 years ago by the man Ratchet. And so we near the end of at least one journey. Please to assemble our fellow passengers in the salon car. Oh, and please also to send for Michel and Dr. Constantine. I will need their assistance to convey me to the salon car.
You will present your solution?
I will offer 3 solutions. You, mademoiselle, will decide which of them will best serve justice. Mesdames et messieurs, there are 3 Ratchet had received the threats from an unknown enemy. Mademoiselle Marceau? The tone of these letters suggests an enmity born in the American underworld of which Monsieur Ratchet was once a part. A former colleague in one of his kidnapping schemes? Who knows? We have the evidence of a detective Monsieur Ratchet hired to protect him.
The detective is Cyrus Hardman, posing as a salesman of typewriter ribbons.
The evidence of Monsieur Hardman, who is indeed a detective hired to protect Monsieur Ratchet, gives to us a description of a small, dark man with a womanish voice. Except for the voice, this description would only fit 2 men on this train.
Matteo, the Athens-Paris coach attendant, and Dr. Constantine.
Yet Monsieur Hardman's vigilance during the night shows that no one could have passed from the Athens-Paris coach to the Calais coach without his seeing them. So anyone in that coach must be exonerated. The enemy actually came aboard the train at Belgrade one of 2 ways.
Through the door left unbolted by Monsieur McQueen.
This enemy was disguised, leaving behind a button in Madame Hubbard's room when he used her connecting door. Mademoiselle, the disguise? A passkey was found in the pocket of this uniform, giving the murderer access to Ratchet's room. Ratchet was under the influence of a dose of his sleeping draught, light enough to wake him, but strong enough to prevent him from struggling as the killer left through the connecting door.
Masterman confirmed the dosage of the sleeping draught.
Oui, he did. Well, the murder weapon is obvious. Mademoiselle?
It is a stiletto, the type of knife carried by the criminal type in America called the mafiosi.
The killer planned to leave the train at the next station after committing his crime. Show to them the evidence supporting this, mademoiselle. Exact. The avalanche prevented him from reaching Broad. Even so, he went through with the crime and then hid himself.
The killer hid in an empty room in the Athens-Paris coach.
At first, in the Athens-Paris coach. Then later, it is in the hut. Mademoiselle found the uniform and the stiletto. But the killer had fled. He may have escaped down the mountain, or he may have come to his just reward somewhere out there in the snow. I think you will agree that we had followed the trail as easily as if we were tracking the footprints in the snow. Well, it is plausible. It certainly fits the most obvious set of facts. I applaud the mastermind who hides behind such an innocent face. The second solution asked more of the little Gressels. Not only of Poirot, but those of Mademoiselle Marceau and Dr. Constantine as well. It was hidden most carefully. The unlikely accident of a means of communicating with the outside world, a part filled most ably by my dear friend Barnaby, made the truth, or at least part of it, easier to uncover. But I flatter myself that enough clues were found right here on this train that such communications were almost always but collaborations of conclusions that I had already reached. So, mademoiselle, we will begin again. First, I will speak to you of time. When did Monsieur Ratchet meet his end? I suspect Mademoiselle Marceau has the theory.
1:15 a.m. The watch was broken during the attack, and Madame Hubbard heard the killer in her compartment only moments later.
Let us examine each possibility in turn. 10:40 p.m. or earlier? No, I think not. Mademoiselle Olsen spoke to Ratchet from the doorway at 10:40 p.m., but she never went inside. It conjures the image most bizarre of her throwing a knife at him 12 times from the doorway. And how does she retrieve it? Is there string attached to the handle? No. No, that is a solution of a most lurid sort. 12:37 a.m.? A more interesting possibility. Monsieur McQueen states that Ratchet spoke no languages other than English, and yet the voice answered Michel in French. Still, I think this was simply a performance for the benefit of Poirot. One of the little improvisations. I was meant to see through it and say, no. Monsieur Ratchet, he was already dead by 12:37. He could not have cried out.
The broken watch said 1:15.
Oui, it did. And it fits with the time of Madame Hubbard's visitor. Now I digress for the reminiscence. I observed to Mademoiselle Marceau that one meets many classes and nationalities when traveling aboard the Express. I asked her to imagine whether such an assembly would ever likely to be collected under any other conditions. And mademoiselle, what was your reply?
In America.
C'est ça. Only in America will you find a household composed of so many nationalities. Look about you. As our investigation progressed, it became clear that 9 passengers on this train are connected in some way to the Armstrong kidnapping. Who have we connected to that case, mademoiselle?
Countess Andrenyi, Colonel Arbuthnot, Mary Debenham, Princess Dragomirov, Antonio Foscarelli, Hector McQueen, Edward Masterman, Greta Olson, Hildegard Schmidt. None of the above.
Précisément. These 4 alone, amongst the occupants of the Calais coach, would appear to have no direct connection with the Armstrong case. Yet I was struck by the curious coincidence that everyone in the Calais coach had an alibi. And these alibis are sometimes corroborated even by those not connected to the Armstrong affair. One of you stated to Mademoiselle Marceau that while Monsieur Ratchet got what he deserved, you would have preferred to see him properly hanged. The trial by jury is a sound system. Who said that, mademoiselle?
Colonel Arbuthnot.
Just so. Colonel Arbuthnot. Now that struck a chord with Poirot. I sat back and thought, a jury is composed of 12 people. There are 12 passengers in the Calais coach, discounting myself and Mademoiselle Marceau. Ratchet, he was stabbed 12 times. And the reason the Calais coach was filled in the middle of the winter was explained. All, I repeat, all of the passengers were in on it. They had to be. No alibi could be left to the whim of a stranger. Did this solution explain everything? Let us see. What were the clues that pointed to the first solution, mademoiselle?
All of these clues agree with the first solution.
Wait. And now, of course, my attention focused on Monsieur Hartmann, for he, the apparent outsider, had provided a key element in this artificial solution of an unknown enemy. How to explain his complicity? And then I remembered that Mademoiselle Marceau had told to me 2 suggestive moments during 2 different interviews with Monsieur Hartmann.
When he said the snow was bright.
Mais oui. The snow has not been very bright today. The sky, it is overcast. And in his apology, he mentions his fondness for French girls. Countess Andrenyi told us that the nursemaid, she was French. Her name was Suzanne. Our young friend Barnaby Lewis confirms via the ham radio that her full name was Suzanne Ferrier and that she was born near Paris. So, it is not so much a leap, I think, to wonder if perhaps the man from New York and the French girl working there might not have formed the attachment.
I've been a detective for almost 20 years, Monsieur Poirot, but I'm in admiration of you. Yeah, Suzanne and I were going to ask her uncle if we could get hitched. He was her guardian. And the kidnapping and everything. It was too much for her.
Her uncle, monsieur? And his name?
Oh, jeez. I can't say I remember.
A detective for almost 20 years? And you never even knew the name of your fiancé's guardian?
No. Probably got it written down somewhere back in New York.
Enough of this foolishness. I can guess his name right now, and so I expect can Mademoiselle Marceau.
Monsieur Ferrier.
The picture in your valise, it is that of you, your sister, and her daughter Suzanne?
Oui, monsieur. After my sister and her husband died in a car crash, I raised Suzanne as my own child.
And so, that leaves only one.
Me? If your tenant is one of your killers, Mr. Poirot, that makes you 12. You don't need me.
No, madame. I have come to the odd conclusion that the person who has taken no part in the crime is the one who would be considered most likely to do so. I refer to Countess Andranier. Her husband swore on his honor she did not leave her room last night. A count from a noble family? A rising young star in the Hungarian diplomatic service? Such a man does not swear upon his honor lightly. No, it is much more probable that he tells the truth. And it is the devoted husband who, so to speak, takes his wife's place. So you see, madame, we are back to 11 without you.
Well, I never. Wait until my daughter hears about this.
Why not tell her now? She is sitting there right beside you, Madame Arden. You are the instigator, or the director, I should say, of this entire performance. You, who Mademoiselle Debenham so rightly called the strongest character among us. And there you have it. Does this second solution explain everything? Let us see. Mademoiselle Marceau, what was the real murder weapon? But of course, a drama planned this carefully does not include the blood-stained stiletto with the fingerprints of some unknown. No, that is merely a prop, as were the 2 threatening letters. The burned note, of course, was a real threat. The conspirators most assuredly did not want this murder tied to the Armstrong kidnapping, and the true weapon, with no incriminating mark upon it, might never have been found if it had been thrown inches further.
Bloody steak knives aren't balanced properly for throwing. My hat's off to you, though, Miss Marceau. When I saw where it landed, I wasn't about to crawl out there and end up at the bottom of that ravine. Took some nerve doing what you did, and there's no denying it.
Hear, hear.
So, the improbable differences in the stab wounds is now explained. 2 so-called clues were dropped in the dead man's compartment. Mademoiselle? The pipe cleaner, incriminating Colonel Arbuthnot, who had one of the strongest alibis and whose connection to the Armstrong family was probably the hardest to prove. And the second clue found in the room, mademoiselle? The handkerchief, incriminating Princess Dragomirov, who by virtue of her frail physique and the alibi given by her maid and Michel was practically in an unassailable position. Then there was the clue found at the shepherd's hut with the incriminating fingerprints. Do you have it, mademoiselle? With Matteo's incriminating fingerprints on it.
Not precisely cricket, you know, Tonio, to incriminate an innocent man.
Cyrus could swear Matteo had not entered the Calais coach. Michel informed us the radio was in the baggage car, and I went to put it out of commission. I did not want to destroy the equipment. It must have taken him much saving to purchase. So I only smashed the telegraph key. Signorina, you are a miracle worker for sure. To get the radio working again. I know about these things. That was a stroke of a genius.
Stick to the point, Monsieur Foscarelli.
With great pleasure. The padlock was just hanging there. I found the snowshoes earlier, and then the shepherd's hut. I was supposed to find a good place for the uniform and the stiletto, and the hut was perfect. But I had to break the lock to enter. All I did was go and get the padlock on the radio crate. I didn't mean to point the finger at Matteo.
The other red herring was not a herring at all, but it was certainly red. Mademoiselle?
And then to put it in my valise was not a nice trick.
The kimono is mine, monsieur. And mademoiselle, I had no intention of trying to incriminate you. I had to put it someplace. And I thought it would be amusing if you found it there.
Ah oui, you enjoy your little games, Countess. Mademoiselle Freebody indeed. Well, Madame Arden?
I always fancied myself in comedy parts. Bravo, Mr. Poirot. Well done.
Applause from an actress of your stature is praise indeed, madame.
We were all at the house, a house filled with almost unendurable pain and sadness. The Perkinson brothers were dead, but Cassetti had got clean away. We decided then and there that the sentence of death that Cassetti had escaped would be carried out. Little did we know how many years would pass, how many false leads Mr. Hardman would track down before Cassetti would be found.
Whatever country my work took me to, no matter how tough the case, I always saved plenty of time to try and pick up the trail. But he kept on the move. Brazil, Mexico, most of Europe. Ratchet was only the last of a string of aliases.
Then Mr. Michel wrote to me. It was he who, quite by accident, had recognized Cassetti traveling aboard the Istanbul to Calais train. When we learned the man, now calling himself Ratchet, frequently traveled to the Middle East aboard the train, we knew we could have some control of the scene of our planned execution. It took months, but in time Ratchet hired both Hector and Masterman.
One of us would have been enough.
2 were better.
Hector handled all of Ratchet's travel arrangements. With Michelle's help, passage was booked on the same train he would be using to return from his latest excursion to the Orient. The rest you seem to know.
Oui, madame. Indeed, the rest Poirot knows.
But I don't understand. You've uncovered everything. We know we did it. How can there be another solution?
Simplicity itself. There is among you one who is not who he pretends to be. With the help of Mademoiselle Marceau, I will now present you with those clues which fit neither solution so far proposed, and present you with a truth that will surprise even you. I know some of you suspected something was not quite right, but let us now look at the clues that fit neither solution so far. Madame Schmidt says she saw the phantom attendant, but we know now it was sheer invention. Yet we have the testimony of an independent witness who says he saw the non-existent small dark attendant actually getting on the train. Mademoiselle?
The engineer.
Oui, the engineer while the train was in the Belgrade station. And then there is the crate of Monsieur Ratchet and its unknown occupant. What clues associate themselves with that crate, mademoiselle?
The pile of books.
Oui, the uniform, I think, worn by the person the engineer saw. The pile of books mademoiselle believes were useful in the planning of the crime, yet no one has mentioned them. And the fact that the person with access to that key would be in the best position to tell us something of the occupant of that crate. And lastly, there is the little matter of the kidnapping of Mademoiselle Marceau. Mademoiselle Marceau, while they enjoy this brief moment before you render your final decision, let us, you and I, see whether you are up to the challenge the Poirot presented to you when our investigation began. Let us check the progress report you have been keeping in your scrapbook. Mademoiselle Marceau, Poirot, he is impressed. You are courageous. You face the dangers without flinching. You solve almost every puzzle that confronts you, overcome almost every obstacle with enthusiasm and good humor. It has been my extreme pleasure to work with you and to match the wits with you. I am sure that with the knowledge you now have of my methods, you could do even better, should you ever find yourself faced with another mystery to solve. You are the representative of the train company, Mademoiselle Marceau. You have been instrumental in assembling the evidence that pointed to the solutions I have now shared. And you have been ill-used.
I am truly sorry, mademoiselle. I left you all of your belongings in that box, except the one I needed back, the key to the security room. You now know why. My precious cargo had to eat. You have proven to be most ingenious. Twice you almost discovered my secret passenger. I left the parasol for you to discover. I had no doubt you would free yourself. If not, I would have found an anonymous way to inform someone of your whereabouts.
I understand why you did it.
As Monsieur Parkinson so rightly observes, you have proven your gray cells to be almost equal to those of Hercule Poirot. So, what do you say, Mademoiselle Marceau? Which solution shall we present to the Yugoslavian police in broad? Silence, s'il vous plaît. It is now time to hear what Mademoiselle Marceau has decided.
Here are my thoughts on the first solution. It is not the truth, but fits the facts, at least one set of facts, and it will be the simplest by far to explain. My opinion of the second solution is this. It is at least most of the truth, as much as 12 people in this car knew. They are self-confessed murderers, and yet, no, that word is wrong. Justice was done here. Of a kind, perhaps not the justice I would have preferred. In that, I agree with Colonel Arbuthnot. But still, can there be anyone, knowing Ratchet and knowing these people as well as I now do after only a few hours, who can't see the rightness of their cause? These are my feelings about the third solution. It is the whole truth. More heartache than even these 12 people knew. And it must stop somewhere, mustn't it? There are lives to build and rebuild here. I think of Greta's words on her postcard, and of the family that had one last day in the sun at Coney Island before the storm engulfed them. I think they all, including Monsieur Parkinson, deserve a chance in the sun again. Therefore, it is my belief, Monsieur Poirot, the first theory you put forward was the correct one. An unknown enemy of Monsieur Ratchet, whom the murdered man feared, sneaked aboard the train disguised as an attendant and is responsible for the murder. Unfortunately, he is still at large, or lies frozen in a snowbank somewhere awaiting the spring thaw. I suggest that is the solution we offer to the Yugoslavian police when we arrive in Broad.